Discover the ghostly apparitions, eerie sounds, and unexplained phenomena that continue to haunt this forsaken prison. Are you ready to confront the malevolent ghost that dwells within these haunted walls? Brace yourself for a journey into the unknown and prepare for a chilling encounter that will send shivers down your spine. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay updated on our spine-tingling explorations of the supernatural. Once upon a chilling night, in the heart of a desolate town, stood the ominous midnight prison. Its towering walls were suffocated by creeping ivy, and the heavy iron gates seemed to groan in eternal sorrow. Within those walls dwelled a malevolent spirit, an evil ghost named Malachi, who had been incarcerated for crimes beyond the mortal realm. Midnight was the cursed hour when Malachi awoke from his spectral slumber, his ethereal chains rattling ominously. For centuries, the legend of Malachi had spread like wildfire, whispered among the townsfolk as a grim reminder of their cursed past. He was a wicked soul, condemned to roam the prison in eternal torment. The legend foretold that on the stroke of midnight, Malachi would seek out his victim, his twisted pleasure being to torment and terrify them before delivering a gruesome fate. It was said that his malevolence knew no bounds, and he relished every moment of suffering he inflicted. One fateful night, as the clock tower struck 12, the town was cloaked in darkness. The winds howled, and the moon hung heavy in the sky. Inside Midnight Prison, a new inmate arrived, unaware of the sinister history that plagued the place. Her name was Emily, a young woman wrongly accused of a crime she didn't commit. As the clock chimed midnight, Emily heard the distant clinking of chains and the eerie whisper of Malachi's name. Goosebumps prickled on her skin as she huddled in her cell, her heart pounding like a drum. In the dim moonlight, she saw a shadowy figure approaching, its form twisted and grotesque. "Who are you?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling with fear. "I am Malachi, the harbinger of your doom," the ghostly figure replied, his voice echoing with malevolence. With every step he took, the temperature dropped, and the air grew thick with dread. Malachi reveled in Emily's terror, appearing as a horrifying apparition before her, his eyes burning with an otherworldly fire. He recounted his gruesome deeds, describing in vivid detail the suffering he had inflicted on his previous victims. Emily's pleas for mercy fell on deaf ears, for Malachi was beyond reason or remorse. He relished the torment he inflicted upon her, making her experience unimaginable horrors that transcended the boundaries of the living world. Hours passed like an eternity, and as the first light of dawn pierced through the prison's grimy windows, Malachi's power began to wane. Weakened by the approaching daylight, he vanished into the shadows, leaving Emily shaken and traumatized. Weeks turned into months, and Emily's tale of the malevolent spirit within Midnight Prison spread throughout the town. But no one believed her, dismissing her accounts as the ravings of a madwoman. Emily's life was forever marred by the scars of that horrifying night. 1 year later, Emily returned to Midnight Prison, determined to confront Malachi and put an end to his reign of terror. Armed with ancient incantations and blessed relics, she ventured into the prison's darkest depths, her heart heavy with the burden of her past. As the clock neared midnight, Emily confronted the vengeful spirit, their battle of wills reaching a crescendo. With every incantation, she weakened Malachi's hold on the mortal realm. But the malevolent ghost fought back with a fury born of centuries of hatred and torment. At the stroke of midnight, the showdown reached its climax, with Emily's courage pitted against Malachi's malevolence. The prison quaked, and the walls themselves seemed to groan in agony as the two forces clashed. In a blinding burst of light, Emily's incantations proved stronger, banishing Malachi from the mortal realm forever. As the first light of dawn broke, a sense of peace descended upon Midnight Prison, and the curse was finally lifted. But victory came at a great cost. Emily, drained of her strength, fell to the cold prison floor, her life force ebbing away. She had triumphed over evil, but it had taken everything from her. As the sun rose, Emily's life flickered out, her sacrifice sealing the prison's dark chapter. Midnight Prison, once a place of unspeakable horror, stood silent and still. The malevolent spirit that had haunted its halls was no more. Emily's sad ending had brought an end to the curse, and the town could finally find solace in the light of a new day. But the memory of Emily's bravery and the haunting legacy of Midnight Prison would forever linger in the hearts and minds of those who dared to remember the tale of the evil ghost who lived in prison and the courageous woman who faced him at midnight. In the quiet town of Ravenswood, nestled deep within the forested hills of Vermont, there stood an ancient prison known as Grimhurst Penitentiary. Abandoned for decades, this foreboding structure had earned a sinister reputation that sent shivers down the spines of anyone who dared speak its name. The prison had been the site of unspeakable horrors. Grimhurst had once housed the most notorious criminals of its time, and the malevolent energy it had absorbed over the years was palpable. The very walls of the prison seemed to exhale dread, and its decaying cells held secrets that would make even the bravest souls tremble. Rumors spoke of a sinister ghost that dwelled within the prison's darkest depths, a vengeful spirit named Victor Kane. Victor had been an inmate at Grimhurst Penitentiary in the late 1800s, a man known for his cold-hearted brutality. He had been incarcerated for the murder of his own family, a crime so heinous that even the most hardened criminals shunned him. As the years passed, Victor's heart grew darker, and he became obsessed with the prison itself. He delved into forbidden knowledge, invoking dark forces within Grimhurst's grim confines. His evil acts led to his untimely death, but even in death, his malevolence remained bound to the prison's walls. Rumors circulated that Victor's ghost still lingered within Grimhurst, seeking vengeance against anyone who dared enter the dreaded punishment cell. It was said that on the stroke of midnight, Victor's malevolent spirit would emerge from the shadows, seeking a new victim to torment. One fateful night, four friends, Sarah, Mark, Lisa, and David, decided to test the legends. They were amateur ghost hunters, eager to capture evidence of the paranormal. Armed with cameras, recorders, and their unwavering curiosity, they ventured into the heart of Grimhurst Penitentiary. The air grew colder as they crossed the threshold of the prison. Sarah, the group's leader, couldn't help but shiver. The oppressive atmosphere of the place weighed heavily on their shoulders. They explored the prison's desolate corridors, capturing eerie photographs and recording unsettling EVPs. But their real goal was to reach the punishment cell, the epicenter of Victor's malevolence. As the clock in the distance struck midnight, they entered the dreaded cell. The air grew thick with foreboding, and shadows danced on the walls. In the center of the cell, they saw a spectral figure materialize, a sinister, hooded specter with eyes that gleamed like crimson coals. Victor Kane had awakened. The ghostly apparition wasted no time. With a malevolent grin, he began to torment the intruders, unleashing their deepest fears and insecurities. The friends found themselves trapped in a nightmarish realm of their own making, their sanity unraveling with each passing moment. Sarah, ever the leader, tried to confront Victor, demanding he release them from his torment. But her words only fueled his sadistic pleasure, and he intensified their suffering. Hours passed, but it felt like an eternity in Victor's nightmarish domain. The friends grew weaker, their wills broken. It was then that Victor revealed his true intentions. He sought revenge not only on them but on the living world itself. With a malevolent incantation, Victor unleashed a torrent of dark energy, merging the spectral realm with the mortal one. The prison's sinister aura began to spread, infecting the entire town of Ravenswood. The friends' sacrifice was inevitable. Victor's curse demanded their souls to maintain his newfound power, and one by one, they succumbed to the darkness. As they fell, their life force was absorbed into Victor's being, strengthening his grip on both realms. The sun finally rose, casting its light on the now haunted town. The prison, once a place of horror, was now a gateway to an even darker dimension. Victor's malevolence knew no bounds, and his vengeful spirit was free to roam Ravenswood, spreading terror wherever it went. Grimhurst Penitentiary had become a cursed relic of a bygone era, and the once quiet town of Ravenswood was now a place of perpetual darkness and dread. The friends had paid the ultimate price for their curiosity, their souls forever trapped in a nightmarish existence. And so, the legend of Grimhurst Penitentiary lived on, a cautionary tale whispered among the townsfolk, a chilling reminder of the evil ghost who lived in the prison and the friends who had ventured too far into the abyss. The town of Ravenswood remained forever under Victor's shadow, a place where darkness reigned, and hope had been extinguished, a truly sad ending to a tale of horror and despair. In the heart of a desolate, forgotten town, stood the grim and imposing Leavenworth Penitentiary. This ancient prison had been abandoned for decades, left to rot and decay. Its corridors echoed with the tortured whispers of a bygone era, a haunting testament to the suffering that had once occurred within its walls. Legend spoke of a malevolent spirit that dwelled within the bowels of Leavenworth, an evil ghost named Samuel Hawthorne. Samuel had been a prisoner here in the early 20th century, a man so wicked that even the most ruthless criminals feared him. He had been incarcerated for a string of heinous murders that shocked the nation. As the years passed, Samuel's hatred festered, and he delved into forbidden dark arts within the prison's confines. His evil acts grew, leading to his own violent demise. But death could not contain Samuel's malevolence, and his vengeful spirit remained bound to Leavenworth, a harbinger of terror. It was said that at precisely 3 a.m., the darkest hour of the night, Samuel would roam the prison's corridor seeking out his victims. He reveled in tormenting the living, striking fear into the hearts of those unlucky enough to cross his path. One chilling night, a group of prison guards decided to test the legends that had swirled around Leavenworth for decades. Among them were James, the seasoned veteran, and his younger colleagues, Sarah and Michael. Armed with flashlights, radios, and a deep-seated skepticism, they ventured into the prison's ominous depths. The air grew colder as they entered Corridor B, and a palpable sense of unease settled over the group. The shadows seemed to come alive, and the flickering fluorescent lights cast eerie shapes on the cracked and decaying walls. As the clock above them struck 3 a.m., a shiver ran down James' spine. He had seen his fair share of horrors in his years as a prison guard, but this place was different. The legends of Samuel Hawthorne had always been whispered among the staff, and James couldn't help but wonder if there was truth to the tales. Just then, they heard a distant, mournful wail, like the anguished cries of the damned. It echoed through the corridor, chilling them to the bone. Sarah's flashlight flickered, and Michael's radio emitted a burst of static. "Did you hear that?" Sarah whispered, her voice quivering. James tried to maintain his composure. "It's probably just the wind, or the old plumbing," he said, though doubt gnawed at his words. But the sound persisted, growing closer with each passing moment. Suddenly, a shadowy figure materialized at the far end of the corridor, a sinister specter draped in tattered prison garb, its eyes burning with malevolence. Samuel Hawthorne had awakened. The guards stood frozen in terror as Samuel approached, his ethereal form gliding silently across the cracked linoleum floor. His laughter was a hollow, bone-chilling sound that echoed in the confines of Corridor B. "Who dares intrude upon my domain?" Samuel hissed, his voice a grotesque distortion of the human voice. James, ever the leader, found his voice. "We're just here to check the old place, make sure everything's secure." Samuel's laughter grew louder, more deranged. "Secure? There is no security from me, mortal." With a wave of his spectral hand, Samuel hurled James against the wall with a force that should have been impossible for a mere apparition. Sarah and Michael screamed as they watched their mentor crumple to the floor, unconscious. The malevolent ghost turned his attention to the remaining guards, his eyes filled with sadistic delight. He reveled in their fear, tormenting them with visions of their deepest fears and regrets. Hours passed like agonizing eternities as Samuel toyed with his victims. Sarah and Michael were trapped in a nightmarish realm of their own making, their sanity slowly unraveling. As the first rays of dawn began to pierce the prison's grimy windows, Samuel's power began to wane. With a final, chilling laugh, he vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a trail of shattered souls. Sarah and Michael rushed to their fallen comrade, but it was too late. James had paid the ultimate price for their curiosity, his life extinguished by the malevolent spirit of Samuel Hawthorne. The sun rose over Leavenworth Penitentiary, casting its light on the prison's dark and haunted corridors. The guards were forever scarred by their encounter, their lives irrevocably changed by the horrors they had witnessed. The legend of Samuel Hawthorne lived on, a cautionary tale whispered among the few who still dared to speak of Leavenworth. The prison remained a place of unspeakable horror, a cursed relic of a forgotten era, and the town that surrounded it bore witness to the darkness that dwelled within. And so, the tale of the evil ghost who lived in the prison and the guards who ventured into Corridor B at 3 a.m. ended in tragedy, a grim reminder of the malevolent forces that could still lurk in the shadows, waiting to claim their next victims.